Good morning, this is Faith at Faith and Books, and I'm once again sitting in a parking lot watching people walk around me. This time I'm at the Whole Foods. I'm just going to run in and get a couple of things. But I just thought I'd use this opportunity to make a little video to do a quick update. I am, however, feeling a little disheartened because I just found out that a friend of mine's cancer has come back. So she doesn't know yet how extensively. So I'm praying that it's something easily controlled. But she's had just an absolutely miserable time the last 2.5 years. So that's kind of bad. So anyway, if you're the praying sword, if you could pray for my friend Kathy, she would appreciate it. I would appreciate it. Anyway, so I just got that news. Anyway, about reading, about books. I did manage to read, I'm holding this. I forgot to bring my little stand. So I'm just holding this with my hands on the steering wheel. So I did finish a book this week. It was called The Christmas Hirelings by Mary Elizabeth, what's her name now? I'm suddenly losing it. Mary Elizabeth Braddon. She was a Victorian author. She wrote Lady Audley's Secret, which is a book that I read a few months ago with the Read Along Most Victorian group. And I really enjoyed it. I had no idea what it was about, but it had a great plot. It was kind of Gothic themed and interesting characters. And it was just a fun, interesting, absorbing read. So I think The Christmas Hirelings, I don't keep up enough with the group, frankly. But I think this is our Christmas read, and I think we're having a discussion on the 18th. So I got this on my Kindle, so it was at my Kindle read that I'm reading at night after I turn off the lights, because I have a backlit Kindle. And so I was looking forward to reading this, but I have to say I was really underwhelmed. It was kind of hard to even finish it. I just made sure I did finish it, but I was underwhelmed. I mean, I would give it 3 stars, so it's not like it was bad or anything like that, but it was so trite. It was so predictable. The characters, to me, were not well developed. They puzzled me. And maybe I'm reading too much Victorian literature, and I'm getting a little, over-satiated with it. But it just had some of the tropes that just have gotten really trite to me. And, I didn't like the way the children were depicted. It was so untrue to how children really are. It was this very Victorian sort of goody two-shoes kind of presentation. And the whole thing was very saccharine, I thought. It was too sentimental, very predictable. I just didn't really, it just didn't do it for me. So I regret that, because I think everybody else is in the mood for those cozy Christmas feels. And, well, I don't mind a little coziness. That's great. I'm just not I don't think I'm into it the way maybe other people are into it. So anyway, so that was a little bit of a disappointment. And I think in reaction to that, I downloaded for $1.99, trying not to spend too much money via Amazon on my Kindle. So this is the most I'm going to pay for a book, $1.99. But I just started reading 12 Years a Slave, which they made a movie of. So after I read the book, I'm going to watch the movie. And it's the account of the memoir of someone who was a free black man living up in upstate New York, who gets lured down to Washington, D.C., where slavery was legal, and then kidnapped and sold into slavery. And he goes down to, he's shipped down to Louisiana. And it took him 12 years to get out of it. 12 harrowing years. It was written, so he got out in 1853. With the help of some of his name is Solomon Northrop, I believe is Northup or Northrop. And either his father or his grandfather was freed. So he grew up freed. And the family that had the ancestors of the family that had owned his ancestors were actually living in the same area, and they were on friendly terms. So I think it turns out that a relative of the family that used to own his grandfather as a slave winds up helping him get out. So anyway, and he left behind a wife and 3 kids. They had no idea what had happened to him. So it's an interesting book. It's written in an old-fashioned way. What's neat about it is he gets lured down to Washington, D.C. He's promised a job with the circus. He was a violin player. And so he gets lured down there, and where he's held and everything, he's describing where it was in Washington, D.C. Now I want to really look up the history because I can picture what he's talking about. But now he's just on a boat on the Potomac going south. They're going south somewhere. I guess they're going to go out to the Chesapeake Bay and the Atlantic and go down the southern seaboard or something. So that's where I am. Right now he's talking about the other slaves that are with him that are also being sold down the river, as they say. So anyways, that's a really interesting book. So I don't know. I needed a little reality after the sort of over-sentimental Christmas hirelings. I feel bad. I feel like a Scrooge because I didn't really take to the Christmas story. But anyway, and I'm still having. I really like my new way of reading. I read in the morning. I get up at 5:30 and I come downstairs and I read till about 6:30, and then and that's when I'm reading the Bible in a year and Confessions, and then. And then when I'm driving around doing my errands, I'm listening to the LibriVox recording of Phineas Finn by Anthony Trollope, the 2nd volume in the Palliser series. And I would say 85% of the narrators are pretty good. There's some that are so-so, some are okay. Most of them are pretty good, though. So I'm enjoying that very, very much. And I've made quite a bit. I think I'm up to chapter 24 maybe. So yeah, so that's, and I'm loving that book. That is just a really, really well-written, fully nuanced, it manages to be gentle and ironic at the same time. It's a good, I really like Anthony Trollope. He has similar tropes that go on in his books too. Like there's, in the first book in the series, Can You Forgive Her? They have this couple, the brother and sister, and the sister is devoted to the brother, even though the brother's kind of a ne'er-do-well. And the same thing's going on in this book with a completely different family, slightly different relationship and circumstances, but still there's that dynamic. So it makes me wonder if Trollope had a sister who was devoted to him or something, and and he feels like he was the ne'er-do-well. I don't know. But anyway, it's a good book, and I'm enjoying that. And then in the evening or in the afternoon, I try to read a real book again. I'm supposed to be reading Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I could not get into it because I'm reading like really deep stuff like this, and Anthony Trollope, who's so detailed, and the language is so rich, and he's so nuanced and so well constructed. And even though I've read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy twice before, and I know it's a funny book, it just was jarring on me. It just felt really flippant and not very, it's witty, but it's not deep. So it was just jarring. Like I just wasn't in the mood. My head was in a different place, and I just wasn't. So I'm going to try and finish this up and then read it. I'm sure it'll only just take me a couple days to read it anyway. That's for the Humorous Book Club. So that's what I'm supposed to be reading in the afternoon. And then in the evening, of course, I'm doing the Kindle read. So it's working out pretty well. So anyway, I better go into the store and pick some stuff up and get home. But please pray for my friend if you are a praying person. So, all right, that's it. I hope you are doing well, and happy reading. Bye-bye.